Hi friends, I am Vishnu. Welcome to my channel Tips, Tricks and Concepts by Vishnu. Regarding myself, I am currently doing MBBS degree in a reputed government medical college, and I had been a supporter and a teacher for many students in entrance related matters in physics, chemistry and biology for a few years. So I knew certain problems faced by the students these days, and I am here before you to help you solve those problems and easily understand various concepts. The biggest problem I think the students face these days is regarding the understanding of various concepts. Some students feel certain subjects or certain topics and concepts very difficult and complicated. So they also have a problem in memorizing it. But if those concepts are understood in an orderly, oriented and an understandable manner, it can be understood and memorized for a longer time, and we can do any problems or questions based on that. So in this channel, I will be putting more videos on such major concepts which the students feel very difficult to learn. And I will be giving some tips and tricks and an orderly learning for those concepts. And first of all, let's start with the very important topic, IUPAC Nomenclature. If that concept of IUPAC Nomenclature is understood in a very orderly sequence, we can name any compounds, any organic compounds in any of your exams, be it entrance exams like NEET, JEE or any board exams, CBSE, state, etc. So let's go to the topic. IUPAC Nomenclature. Let's deal it in a step-by-step manner. So generally every IUPAC names consists of mainly three parts: a word root, a prefix and a suffix. Now what does each of these indicate? The word root, the main part, it indicates the number of carbon atoms in the principal chain. That is, let's look at the table. We can say that if there are only one carbon atom, it is named as meth. If two, eth, and so and so. That is, you can study as meth, eth, prop, but, pent, hex, hept, oct, non, dec. And if there are more, that is if 11 carbon atoms, undec. If 12 carbon atoms, then it is dodec. And what is now a prefix? The prefix is nothing but the word that is added before the word root. And there are generally two prefixes, that is a primary prefix and a secondary prefix. The primary prefix tells whether the compound is alicyclic or aliphatic. Generally for alicyclic, we add the prefix or the primary prefix cyclo. And here you can see the cyclohexane. Okay, how the name comes: cyclo, the primary prefix, plus hex, the word root, and ane, the primary suffix. I will tell it later. Now, what is a secondary prefix? The secondary prefix comes before the primary prefix and it indicates the substituents. And you can see here the substituents, usual substituents, usually halo, that is halogen. If halogens comes as a substituent, halo. Fluorine means fluoro, chloro, bromo, iodo. And if alkyl group or if an R group comes as a substituent, alkyl, then NO2, nitro. If the substituent is an OR group, then it is named as alkoxy. If instead of that R, if methyl group comes, then methoxy, then ethoxy, and so on. And if that is a complex substituent group, say like CH3 twice, then it is isopropyl. Then CCH3 thrice, third butyl. These are some common complex substituents that comes for your exams. And then if a cyclic ring is acting as a substituent, then it is read as cycloalkyl. Now let's see what a suffix is. A suffix is the word that comes after the word root. So there are two kinds, a primary suffix and a secondary suffix. What do they indicate? The primary suffix indicates whether it is an alkane, alkene or alkyne. So the wording is as here. That is, if it is an alkane, then the ending is ane. If it is an alkene, ending is ene. And alkyne, ine. These are the primary suffixes. Now what is the secondary suffix? a secondary suffix indicates the principal functional group of the organic compound. But we have to be aware of one criteria before writing that secondary suffix. That is, if this secondary suffix has an initial letter as vowel, say A, E or I, O, U, then the end E of the primary suffix, the alkane, alkene or alkyne, is deleted. For example, an alcohol, the secondary suffix of alcohol is ol, so the initial letter is O, a vowel. So if the primary suffix is ane, then we delete that E and we tell it as anol, that is alkanol, alkenol, alkynol and so on. Now if the initial letter of the secondary suffix is a consonant, that is other than a vowel, we need not delete, or we should not delete that end E of the primary suffix. Example, let's take the example of a nitrile, that is CN functional group. Remember that cyanide is not a IUPAC name, it is a common name. So most of the students confuse it. So nitrile is the secondary suffix in IUPAC nomenclature for CN functional group. So the first letter of nitrile, the N, is a consonant. So we need not delete the end E of the primary suffix. That is, if it is an alkane, then and nitrile is a functional group, then we can name it as alkane nitrile and we retain the letter E in it. So let's go to an example. Let's take the compound CH3, CH2, CH2, OH. Since it has 3 carbon atoms, we can take the word root as prop. Similarly, since it is an alkane, we take the primary suffix as ane. But our functional group is alcohol, so its secondary suffix is ol. Since it is in the first position, we add one ol. And the first letter O is a vowel, so the end E of the primary suffix ane is deleted and we get propan 1 ol. Now the second compound CH3, CH2, CH2, Cn. Here there are 4 carbon atoms, so word root is but. This is because we include the carbon atom in the Cn also. And now the primary suffix ane, that is alkane. Now the secondary suffix, that is a functional group, nitrile, and hence the name butane 1-nitrile or butane nitrile is also correct. Now let's see some usual secondary suffixes. Here is a table. Look at the table. We can say alcohol as ol, that is the secondary suffix of alcohol is ol, so alkanol. If aldehyde, alkanal. If ketone, alkanon. If acid, that is carboxylic acid, then alkanoic acid. And if it is ester, alkyl, alkanate. If it is an amide, alkanamides. Then if it is an amine, alkanamines. If it is an acid chloride, then COCl, that is alkanoyl chloride or alkanoyl halide. If instead of Cl any other halide, then alkanoyl halide, and so on. Here is the next step. In alkyl alkanate, that is esters, if an ester is RCOOR dash, that is R is attached to the C double bond O and R dash to the O of the C double bond O, then that R dash is named as the alkyl in alkyl alkanate and the RC double bond O is taken as the alkanate. In general, every IUPAC name is written as secondary prefix plus primary prefix plus word root plus primary suffix plus secondary suffix. This is what we are going to follow all through our class. Now let's enter into the major topic, that is how to name the organic compounds given for exams. That is, for example, the complex alkanes, alkenes, etc. and the how to name the complex and branched ones, etc. So first of all, we have to choose the longest chain. That's the first step. So choose the longest chain. So let's see an example. Here in this example, you can see that the chain given horizontally contains only 5 carbon atoms. So we might think that the root word will be pent, but no. See it like given in the arrow mark. you can see that there are almost 7 carbon atoms. That is 7 carbon atoms in the longest chain, and hence the root word will be hept. And most of the time the compounds given in exams would be like this. That is, the one given horizontally might not be the longest chain. Now the next step, that is, if in an organic compound, if we count in 2 different manners, there are equally long chains, carbon chains, then we have to choose the one with the greater number of substituents or greater number of branches. So if we count as per the first arrow mark, we can see that there are 6 carbon atoms, and there will be 2 branches at the second and third positions. But in the second way of counting, we can see that there are also again 6 carbon atoms in the longest chain, but only 1 branch chain, and that branch is also a little complex than the other branches, first branches. So we have to choose the correct numbering. Which is the one correct? The first one. Now the second step, that is lowest locant rule. If there is a substituent at a particular position, then that substituted carbon should be given the lowest number while numbering. Let's take this example. Here we can do 2 ways of numbering. The longest, we found out that the first longest chain is 4 carbon atoms long, and there is a, according to the first numbering, there is a substituted carbon at the second position, and according to the second way of counting, there is a substituted carbon at the third position. Then we have to find the branching at the lowest position. That is, the first one is correct. That is 2-methyl butane. Now the tip here, if in an organic compound there are 2 branches, and these branches are, when counted from 2 different sides, these 2 sets of branches are counted from 2 different sides, they get 2 numbering. Then we have to add the numbers, and which one sum is smaller, we have to choose that one as the correct numbering. That is according to lowest locant rule. I will make it clear by using a small example. Let's go to our previous compound. Here is compound. You can see that in one way of numbering, the substituents are at the, or the branchings are at the 3rd and 4th position, while in the other at the 4th and 5th position. So 3 plus 4 is 7 and 4 plus 5 is 9. So we have to choose the one with the lowest set of locants, that is 3, 4, and the first one is correct. Now the third step, we have to name in such a way that the branches are in the alphabetical order. That is, let's take the previous compound. Here in this, the methyl group is at the 3rd position, while ethyl group at the 4th position. But when we name it, we have to name it as 4-ethyl 3-methyl heptane. That is, 4-ethyl and 3-methyl are prefixes, that is secondary prefixes, and hept is the root word and ane is the suffix. But here 4-ethyl, why it comes first? Because E comes before M, and hence ethyl comes before methyl. But, and don't confuse, this is only for naming and not for counting. And the tip, in alphabetical order, if iso and neo are present, that I and N should be considered in the alphabetical order. And if it is sec or tert, we should not consider that S or T in the alphabetical order. Let's go to an example. Here we choose the longest chain, that is with 10 carbon atoms, and hence decane, and we have substituents at or branchings at the 4th and 5th positions, and 5th position there is a secondary butyl group, and at 4th position we have an isopropyl group, that is CH-CH3 twice. So we should name it as 5-sec-butyl 4-isopropyl decane and not 4-isopropyl 5-sec-butyl decane. This is because S is not considered in the alphabetical order, so B comes first, and hence B is before I, which is considered in the isopropyl. Now another tip, if two similar substituents are present at equivalent positions or different positions, be it anywhere, we can add another prefix di or tri or tetra to it. Here we can see that the longest chain is containing 3 carbon atoms if counted in any manner, and we have 2 methyl groups at the second position. Then we can name it as 2,2-dimethyl propane. And even if it comes in the different position, we can name so. For example, the next one, that is, here it is 2,3-dimethyl butane. Now the next step, if 2 different groups comes at equivalent positions while numbering, what will we do? Then alphabetical order has to be followed, and the first number, that is the lowest number, should be given to the one which is first in the alphabetical order. Let's look at an example. Here, the longest carbon chain is hex, that is 6 carbon atoms long and hence hexane. But there are 2 ways of numbering, and in both these ways the sum is 7. That is, if in this the ethyl group comes at 3rd position and methyl at 4th position, then here methyl at 3rd position and ethyl at 4th position. But both the locants are 7, and hence the lowest number should be given according to alphabetical order, and hence ethyl comes first, and hence this one is correct. Now the next step, how to name more complex or more branched substituents or branches. Here the point to be noted is that the carbon atom attached to the principal chain should be counted or numbered as 1, and all other carbon atoms should be numbered with respect to this, including the branches, and the branching will be usually as mentioned earlier, that is according to lowest locant rule. Let's look at an example. This is our previous example, that is 5-sec-butyl 4-isopropyl decane, and how to name it more clearly. Here 4-isopropyl, we can name it as 1-methyl-ethyl, because the carbon atom attached to the principal chain with 10 carbon atoms is named as 1 or numbered as 1, and the longest chain is ethyl, and there is a methyl group at the first position, and hence 1-methyl-ethyl. Similarly, here also the longest chain is 3 carbon atom long, carbon attached to the principal chain is numbered 1, and there is a methyl group attached over C1, and hence 1-methyl-propyl. So more clear IUPAC name will be 4,1-methyl-ethyl 5,1-methyl-propyl decane. Here we followed the alphabetical order, that is E comes first, that is before our P, and hence this term is written first, unlike the older name. Now let's see how we will name if there is a double bond or a triple bond in the organic compound, that is nomenclature of unsaturated hydrocarbons. So here we have to choose the longest chain which is containing the double or triple bond, and not vaguely choose the longest chain. That is, there may be other longest chains also, but we have to choose the one which is containing the double or triple bond. Also, that multiple bond should be given preference, and the numbering should be started from that end. So I will give the priority table later, but compared to branching, more preference is given to the double bond or triple bond. We should put the number of the bond or the number of the bonded carbon just before the suffix, that is ENE or YNE, etc. This is according to the newest method of nomenclature by IUPAC. So let's look at an example. Here, in the first way of numbering, there will be 6 carbon atoms, but it does not contain the multiple. But in the second way of numbering, there are only 5 carbon atoms, but it also contains the multiple. And hence, this second method method of numbering is correct, and we have to start the numbering from the carbon with the multiple bond, and hence the name will be 2-ethyl pent 1-ene. Now, how to name the compounds which are containing more than one multiple bond? That is, if both double and triple bonds are present, or if more than one double bonds are present, or more than one triple bonds are present, and so on and so on. So, we have to start the numbering in such a way that the multiple bonded carbon atoms gets the lowest number according to the lowest locant rule. Let's make it clear by using an example. Here we know that longest chain is having 5 carbon atoms, and there are two ways of numbering. In the first way of numbering, we have the double bond at the third position and triple bond at the first position. While the second numbering, the double bond is at the second position while the triple bond is at the fourth position. So probably which one is correct? The first one is correct, and hence the name will be pent 3N19. This is because E comes before Y, and also double bond is always given preference over triple bond. Now, if both double and triple bond are present in a compound, and if they occupy the equivalent positions, then how to name? Always double bond is preferred over triple bond. So, double bonded carbon atom is given the least number. Let's see an example. Here, there are two ways of numbering, and in the first case, the double bonded carbon atom will get the number 1, while in the second case, double bonded carbon atom will get the number 4. Hence, we have to choose the first number. Here you can see that lowest locant rule applies to both, that is 1 plus 4 and 4 plus 1, and hence we have to choose the first one, and that is pent 1N4-ine. Now friends, let's go to the next level, that is how to name an organic compound which contains functional groups. So the first step is to find the longest carbon chain containing this functional group, and the second step to find out the numbering which is suitable, that is the carbon atom to which this functional group is attached should get the least number. And for that we have to study a priority table. This is because only if we study the priority table we can name the compounds having multiple functional groups. So which one is given preference over what? Students usually tell me that they usually confuse with this priority order, but there is no need for any confusion. We will have a small tip to study it and memorize it. Okay, let's go to the table. First of all, I'll read out this priority table in a different manner or in a particular slang, and hence in that slang or in that name you can actually remember it. Okay, first of all I will read out amine salts, then carboxylic acids, sulfonic acids, anhydrides, esters, acetamides, then nitriles, isonitriles, aldehydes, ketones and alcohols, phenols, thiols, amines, double bond and triple bond. So I hope you're clear now. That is, first of all I said the set of acids, and you can remember it in this way, that is acid, anhydride, esters, acid chloride and acetamide, that is alkanamides. And then the next one order is nitriles, isonitriles, and then comes the aldehydes, ketones and alcohols. Then comes phenols, thiols, and finally amines, and then double bond and triple bond. So if you study this as these small sets, then you will definitely never forget the order. All the other groups that are not mentioned here are always taken as prefixes or substituent groups. That is, example, alkyl, then phenyl, alkoxy, alo, nitro, etc. And these are always taken as prefixes. Now let's see, if there are more than one functional group, then the one which is given less preference is taken as prefix. Now how we will name those prefixes? Let's look at the table. We should study this table. It's easy to study. You can see that for X as a substituent group, that is halogens as a substituent group, we can add the prefix as halo. Similarly, for OH, hydroxy, that means if there is a more important group other than alcohol, like acid or aldehyde in the same compound, then we have to take alcohol as the prefix, and hence we can take it as hydroxy. Similarly, if SH comes, sulfanyl. You can also use mercaptan, but sulfanyl is more preferred. And then OR, that is for ethers, alkoxy. Then aldehyde, that is if aldehyde comes as a substituent or a prefix, how to name it? Formyl, if it comes at the end. But if it comes in another carbon atom within the chain, then you can name it as oxo. Similarly, for ketone also, you have to name it as oxo. Keto is also correct. Then the next prefix is for amines, that is amino. If one H is replaced by an R group, then alkyl amino. If both the H are replaced by alkyl groups, then dialkyl amino. Then C triple bond N, that is cyanide group, comes as the prefix, means cyano. Remember that cyanide is a common name and nitrile is a IUPAC name, but cyano is a preferred IUPAC prefix. So cyano as the prefix, and then comes the C. If carboxyl group or carboxylic acid group comes as the prefix, then carboxyl. If COR, ester group, comes as the prefix, then alkoxycarbonyl or carbalkoxy. Carbalkoxy is more right. Then comes COX, that is if acyl halide comes as the prefix. How to name it? Halocarbonyl. That is if COCl means chlorocarbonyl. And similarly for CONH2, that is amide group, comes as the prefix, means carbamoyl. Carbamoyl. Okay. Let's look at this example. First of all, we have to choose the longest carbon chain which is contained in the functional group. Here we have two functional groups, acid and an ester. Since acid is having more preference over esters, its carbon is given the number 1. That is the least number. And hence the longest chain will be having 4 carbon atoms, and hence our word root will be bute. Now, what will be the primary suffix? We have a double bond at the second position, and hence it will be 2N. And the NE is removed out of the 2E because our secondary suffix is oic acid, which starts with O. So we have 2 oic acid. And where is this oic acid present? At the first carbon. So to make it more clear, we will name it as 2 and 1 oic acid. And hence our suffix is ready. Now what about the prefix? Our ester is a prefix. What is the prefix name of an ester? Carbalkoxy or alkoxycarbon. So we will have it 3-carb-ethoxy because it is at the third position. And hence the total name will be 3-carb-ethoxy bute 2 and 1 oic acid. Let's look at another example. Here we are choosing the longest chain which is containing the functional group. Here there are two functional groups. There is one is COCl and the other one is a keto group. And hence we are giving more preference to this COCl group, that is acyl halide, and hence it will get the first number. And we have the word root as hex because the longest chain is having 6 carbon atoms. And so the primary suffix is ine. And where is it? At the 5th position. So 5-ine. And NE is removed because our secondary suffix is our principal functional group, that is COCl or otherwise oil chloride. So O is a vowel and hence we are removing the NE, and hence 5-ine 1 oil chloride is the suffix. And what will be the prefix? We have two prefixes, that is one is the 4-ethyl and the other is the keto group at the third position, that is 3-keto or 3-oxo, and hence the total name will be 4-ethyl 3-oxo because E comes before O. So 4-ethyl 3-oxo hex 5-ine 1 oil chloride. So the first part of my class is over, and a quick review of it. Whenever you get an organic compound, friends, first look at the longest carbon chain containing the functional group or the multiple bonds, or if there are nothing like that, just choose the longest carbon chain. Then find the word root of it, then number it according to the lowest locant rule and the criteria and the tips that I explained. and name it in the alphabetical order as IUPAC name equal to secondary prefix plus primary prefix plus word root plus primary suffix plus secondary suffix. Okay? Hope you understood the class up to this. The topic is not over. I am explaining the nomenclature of bond line notations, aromatic compounds, etc. in my part 2. Don't miss it. You can ask your doubts personally by messaging me on Facebook. My Facebook ID is given here. The link is given in the description box. And you may also comment the topic you want me to take under the video. Please like my video, share with your friends and juniors, and also subscribe my channel by clicking on the subscribe button on your screen. Bye bye, stay tuned.